So it turns out that hey, what's going on, guys? If you're rewatching this is just going to be me live reacting to Jonas and Hayden come out with a new podcast discussing like what was actually going on that they couldn't talk about beforehand with Safemoon at HQ. And I'm going to be live reacting to it. I already ran it by Hayden. He said it was cool if I did this since it's their content. And I'm just going to be as honest as I can about it. So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, you can just type in Safely to the Moon on YouTube if you want to watch it uninterrupted. And you can check it out there. Subscribe to their podcast. Otherwise, if you want to watch it with me, I'm going to be doing it live. And then you can go back and anyone who's rewatching this potentially can just hear it from me or hear my thoughts on it. I'm a little bit skeptical about their time there and about, how innocent people are, how long you worked there, how much you knew, but I'll just react to it live. So we're going to go ahead and get that started and see what comes out of this. My only I don't know. Like, Jonas seems like a cool guy. Hayden seems like a cool guy, but there's just something in me that's like, but you guys were there for so long. And maybe they satisfy some of those concerns. I do think part of this is them explaining why they weren't part of the fraud that happened, because the fraud happened like way before they were ever even a part of Safemoon. And really, I think where the accountability is going to come in, it's like, okay, well, as the CoffeeZilla information came out, as the blockchain information came out, how long did you guys continue to support them or to support Safemoon? And based on some of these red flags that they are giving out in these speeches, they're talking about John like arresting his mom, or not arresting his mom, but like Hayden called the police and like John hired his girlfriend. They have 2 podcasts out, and I haven't watched either of them. I guess for me personally, it'll just kind of be like finding out, okay, are you guys actually innocent and there's nothing you could do? Or was there a certain point where maybe you stayed a little longer than you should have, or you suppressed information that you could have? I mean, I said it publicly a long time ago that John would sue you. He would come after you if you said anything. And the Safemoon army wouldn't believe you if you came out. There's really no pros to coming out and being like, hey, there's not such great things going on behind the scenes. And I think that the overall story that they're going to be saying is like, we were doing our best to make Safemoon succeed from the inside. We didn't see blatant fraud. But we'll go ahead and get into that, and you guys can watch this together with me. If you don't want to watch this with me, you can just literally go over to Safemoon, type in Safely to the Moon on YouTube right now and just watch it without me stopping occasionally to drop my thoughts. But if you want to watch it live with me and react in the comments, you're welcome to.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Safely to the Moon. This is episode 1. It's actually episode 4. Hayden and I have filmed a few episodes. We released the intro video on social media the other day, and it was met with mixed results. It's kind of funny how each social media platform has its own personality. Instagram and YouTube, everyone was saying, this sounds awesome. I'm excited to hear the stories. Twitter, everyone was saying, you guys should be in jail too. So we figured we'd take a step back, and we kind of wanted to set the stage and really explain why we're doing this podcast, explain what happened, address some of the initial questions, concerns, accusations. I'm going to let Hayden dive into it. Before he does, one thing that I just wanted to get off my chest, because this was the most annoying. We got a lot of questions where people said, why didn't you tell the police? And so I want to be very clear, like we said in the intro video, we did not see any fraud or proof of fraud firsthand. We saw a lot of red flags. 90% of what this podcast is stories about business incompetence. Okay, you can't call the cops because, hey, my CEO is making questionable hires. You can't call the cops because, well, actually, we did call the cops
We
when
did.
someone broke into the office and they
We
said
did.
they
I
couldn't
sat
do
there
anything.
for hours and nothing happened.
Yeah, but we're not going to call the cops because, hey, our CFO doesn't know how we make revenue. It's just 90% of this is business incompetence. We want to tell people. We feel like people deserve to know this is what happened at Safemoon. The reason we couldn't talk about it was because the guy sued his own mother. What's going to stop him from suing us, even though all we're telling is true stories? The other 10% is we saw evidences of and red flags of actual fraud, but we never had definite proof. We were both shocked when the court docs came out and we saw exactly what happened. But things like we mentioned insider trading. We have a pretty good idea because an executive at Safemoon mentioned something that led us to find a wallet address that we are 90% sure was his that was trading tokens on the swap. But we had no proof that it was him. We didn't KYC the wallet. It was just a comment that he made that led us to believe all the evidence pointed that way. The blockchain evidence, that was already on Twitter.
Yeah.
And in CoffeeZilla's video. And we had been told in confidence there was already an investigation going on.
Yeah.
So that was just one thing I wanted to say. We didn't know anything that the authorities didn't know or didn't need to know. Besides, we just knew it was a terribly run company. And we saw lots of evidences and red flags.
Yeah. I think the other thing we have to establish is this is not an attack on the Safemoon community. This isn't an attack on John. Sure, we will bring up things that are calling them out and saying, what is going on? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? So on and so forth. But at the end of the day, this is more of a podcast to talk about, obviously, the incompetence, but the potential that could have been. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and we want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
No, we don't.
And John's not going to be in jail forever, and he shouldn't, but he should never be in charge of a company ever again.
No.
And you'll see why.
Right. And yeah, that's the main thing that I want to get out there is this isn't an attack on the Safemoon Army. I know tons of people, obviously, because I was part of the employee group, but I know a ton of people that got hurt from this financially, emotionally. I don't know, physically maybe, but I've never heard of it. But yeah, tons of people were affected from this. And we're not here to be like, shame on you, because even shame on us. Like, sure, we probably could have done more, but to your point, if we did more, what could have happened? Like, I literally called the cops at one point and was sitting in an office for close to 3.5 hours texting you and saying, holy shiz, what's going on? Just to find out that the police couldn't do anything anyways because he was let in. So,
yeah.
I think we need to also establish that the timeline of what we're talking about.
Yes.
Everything we're talking about is in the business realm of when it started. So when Safemoon or Safemoon LLC was created in Utah to when you left and when I left and to even just this day when it was liquidated or to present when it was liquidated, right? That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, like, we'll mention John, Kyle, Thomas, and things that happened there because this is a fact. They're in court. They're doing this. There's going to be rulings. We're going to be bringing that up. But we had nothing. We were no part of that. We didn't know they were touching the LP. We didn't know what was going on. Sure, I know there's people, specifically Sam, who mentioned, oh, there was definite evidence of messing with the LP and taking from funds and everything else. Yeah, sure, I guess, but evidence is not proof. Like, there's not actual fact, right? So you can continue to say that.
And the two of us knew, like, we found out from Twitter. We found out from those Twitter threads that TNG made. We found out from the CoffeeZilla video.
Right.
It's not like we were withholding evidence. Like, we had no idea.
Right.
And it wasn't until we start to see these things, eventually we both left.
Yeah, and people are saying complicit, but I think it's also incompetence to an extent on our end. Of me saying, I really like my job. I really love this community. I really love being in the DeFi and Web3 space and doing what I'm doing here. Maybe just turn a blind eye? No, I don't think so. It's just more ignorance on my end of just trying to do my job and continue to do my job and not have any distractions. Right? I was trying to bring as many partners as I could. Same with you.
Yeah, and it was hard too because Safemoon actually had real lawyers.
Yeah.
Cool guys. We liked them, and for the most part, I respected them. And we had so many questions, and a lot of times the answer was just, we can't comment on that.
It was always,
Or-
we can't comment on
pretty
that.
much every time.
Yeah.
But Safemoon did so much in terms of legal stuff to make sure we
Yeah.
were safe. It was actually kind of annoying.
So very annoying.
And so Safemoon was trying so hard to be compliant
Yeah.
that it was easy for us to see, like, hey, they're trying here. I
Right.
guess they have it under control.
Right.
We don't have answers, but
And yeah, and kind of just back to that timeline thing. We have to understand, even before we knew all this stuff happened, like, the business was an actual business that was getting revenue from the swap, from us selling those marketing deals, and from our things. And so when people, can I bring up a tweet?
yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
I think the main one that, I shouldn't say bugged me. These things can bug you or get to your head, but like the main one that I wanted to bring up was Shildoff or Randolph. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And how he's like, 2 salesmen who suckered in other companies to pay big bucks for nothing. Everyone is clear after the event. Clearly you knew what was going on, so insider trading. Okay. He just knows, he knows somehow. Golfing
Armchair
off the
lawyer.
back of investors' money. It's a Dumb and Dumber 3 making a podcast. So just to clarify, Randolph, sorry. Clearly, insider trading, for one, Jonas and I were the only ones in that company that brought up doing that blackout period.
Mm-hmm.
If we were going to bring on someone, I said, hey, we at least, the people that begin that conversation in my sales department, once we have that conversation, you are currently in the blacklist. You cannot invest. You cannot do anything for an extended period of time. And that period of time was then ran through our lawyers, was ran through our VP of operations, and they said it was a 6-month period. Once you start to finish, you can't invest until after that 6 months. Once they got listed on our swap, the employees were then put on a 3-month probation or a 3-month black period. After 3 months, they could then invest.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there were stories. People didn't do that, so on and so forth. But I can honestly say every time, and I made Jonas and my other employees more or less promise to me, but also I think a couple even showed me. I don't know if you ever did, but showed me their wallets and nothing. And I showed them mine. So the other one is golfing off the investors' money. How poorly this company was run was Hayden was funding everything that came into our
Yeah,
we
there
call
were,
it
there were
Safemoon
no company
experiences.
credit cards.
No company credit cards. So Hayden, that's me, was paying off of my credit card recurring interest every purchase. Every time we went to Topgolf was about $700 bucks. Pay for drinks, food, golf, so on and so forth. So I was paying for that.
And let me just say, that whole thing, like, once again, we were trying to, a lot of DeFi is sketchy. There's undoxed teams. Part of our process, what we did is we did KYC, we did KYB. You had to have a business entity. We had to know who you are.
You had to be a business. You couldn't be on our swap unless you
Mhm.
were a business.
You had to have a registered LLC or corporation. And one of the things that we loved doing as part of the culture that we were building was, hey, when we sign a deal, when we have a partnership, come to Utah, come see headquarters. Let's go to Topgolf. Let's hang out with you. So it was more of a culture thing, a relationship, instead of just a transaction. And people loved it. It was fun.
It was fun. People came in. It gave them an experience to come just meet the team, to also just be put out in front of the community and really get to show who they actually were.
Yeah, it's funny that, Randolph is dogging on it now because people like him were saying, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
They
would talk
seeing
about
pictures
golf.
of handshakes.
Yeah.
Real people, real projects, not just
Right.
shady developers hiding behind a profile picture.
Exactly.
Whether or not these projects panned out, however you define panned out, or if there was an ROI on your investment, like, they were real people trying to do real things. We did everything we could to make sure there was a legitimate business, legitimate people.
Yeah, we even went as far as to try and pay for their flights and stuff to come in, their hotels, but that was shot down very quickly from our executive team. That's how far I wanted to get these people into our office, was even paying, even when they flew from Abu Dhabi or Dubai, like Australia, I wanted to get them in, but that got shut down quick.
Yeah. So this is probably a good time for us to talk about a little bit more on that. What did we do at Safemoon? What was our business process?
Yeah.
Because we've mentioned this in episodes that will come out later.
Yeah.
But Hayden and I talked about this all the time. We were our own business. We felt like there was Safemoon, and then there was the sales department in our room in the office. We were usually the only people in the entire office.
Right. So that big office that they paid upwards of $20,000 a month for literally housed you and me for an extended period of time. I would say close to like 7 months.
And we consciously picked the room that was furthest away from the executive team.
Right. So usually the people that came in during our time there was Wormtongue, John, and Sketch. This was after Ryan and them all left. So literally it was those two. But when John was overseas or was out, it would usually just be you and me and Sketch. But Sketch was back in his office doing what he needed to do. So it was just us three. That office could have probably fit 50 people, but it was fitting 3 on a continuous basis until we hired more sales guys. But yeah, so what we did, we were our own business. We were our own sales department. We went out and we looked for projects to join our Safemoon swap. We had a bunch in the beginning that wanted to join, and we had to vet them. They went through an application process. It was a weird application process, but at that time, I don't think anybody knew how to really build out an application and make sure all the buttons or all the boxes were checked off, right? So you'd see like anti-slavery questions and
we had anti-slavery, anti-money laundering. The process was actually pretty intense.
It was intense.
And we even complained about it because there were so many questions, so many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
And so it's funny now I see people complaining about the quality of projects we brought on. First of all, I mean, like, let's call it what it is. Safemoon was a meme coin. Yeah. Trying to build utility, but a meme coin. We're not going to attract Ethereum, or Polygon. Like, we're not going to attract the big players.
If we brought them on, we just had to add liquidity.
We'd have to pay for that.
We'd have to pay for that.
And so we attracted coins, tokens, projects similar to us. Yeah. And we did everything we could to vet them. And that was the pool that we were working with.
Yeah. There's like, if you look at the creditor list, I think I told you this. If you look at the creditor list, there's like 4 or 5 in there that are on there because they went through the KYC process and got denied.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
It's weird. They're looking to get. I don't know if they're going to get any money, but there's some on there. I was like, they didn't get on the swap. They didn't get on the swap. They didn't get on the swap. They didn't even pay us anything.
We had to say no to we turned down so much money.
Yeah, we just
had to say no.
We brought on 25 projects, or I think a little bit more, and we probably denied over 100 and 150 projects.
Yeah.
And those projects ranged from our price range that we got, like, there could have been millions and millions of dollars that could have been made off of that if we would have said, sure. But we were always thinking about, 1, the community, 2, the safety of Safemoon, and 3, just making sure that we, as sales executives, were we weren't doing the wrong thing. Because these guys think we're complicit, but we sat there worried just as much as anyone about getting in trouble because it was such a black and, like, hazy, like, market. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what was right or wrong. I think no one did.
We always erred on the side of caution.
Always.
And
if even when you didn't want to, I was like, pump your brakes.
Yeah.
Jonas, pump 'em, dude.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
So, and the other thing that I want to make clear is what we did, we had nothing to do with Safemoon, the cryptocurrency.
No.
We were dealing with an app. It was software. So we were selling listings to be on our decentralized exchange, to be listed on the app on the wallet,
which included marketing. Which we built the marketing packages, by the way.
Yes,
and we
were very clear with projects because obviously people think, oh, if you get listed on Safemoon, your price is going to pump. We were very clear when we were listing them. Say, hey, like what we're selling is exposure.
Yeah,
Safemoon has an incredibly strong community of like-minded people that love cryptocurrency DeFi.
Right.
We will bring their eyes to your project. We're not going to promise or imply anything about price action or whatever, or even followers. We said if they like you, they'll probably follow you. You'll get some followers. But that's what we sold. It was exposure. It was top of funnel.
Right. And I think that's a big thing that bugged me about John's Discord comment when he's like, you're not investors or something like that, right? Because in reality, the community was Safemoon, right? So when he said that, it really bugged me. And I was like,
bugged a lot of people.
Obviously, and it bugged a lot of people, and so on and so forth. But especially as a sales director talking about, hey, we have the best community. And then someone comes out, our CEO comes out and says, you're not investors. You're not part of this company. It's like, sure, you're not physically part of it. You're not contractually part of it, but they're part of it more than you are.
Yeah.
To an extent. Even, well, now they are.
Yeah. So that's what we did at Safemoon. We didn't tell anyone to buy the Safemoon token. We didn't do anything like that. All we dealt with was listings, marketing packages, us getting listed on other exchanges, which was very hard for reasons that we'll dive into in future episodes, partnerships, and then trying to sell future products that never came out. And that was just kind of the story at Safemoon. These grand visions, these DeFi products, software services that were supposed to come out never did, that we had to build pipelines for and couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's what we did at Safemoon. That was our job. Why we started this podcast. I will say, for all the people that are upset on Twitter, we got a lot of positive comments and even texts from people saying, hey, thanks so much for doing this. I'm proud of you guys for telling the truth. Because that's really,
right.
I will say that is the main motivation, is I think people deserve to know. I, like me looking at it, if I weren't a Safemoon employee and I lost money in Safemoon just as a trader, me, how I am, I would like to know. Even though it's water under the bridge, I still, hey, what happened there? Why did this go wrong?
Right.
How can we see the warning signs for future projects earlier? And Evergrow Sam, he said, hey, I think it's in bad taste because people lost money and suffered. It's like, we get that. We're not trying to make light of that.
Right.
Like, we understand more than anyone.
Yeah.
So why, like.
So, I actually, me and Sam are friends, and I deal with, I dealt with them a lot when I was, dealing with Evergrow and when it was first launching and I was making videos, and I worked with them a little bit and then pulled away and then covered it and then just kind of been waiting for the products to come out. And Sam definitely, politically, and his opinions when it comes to like Elon Musk or even politics and probably religion is just the complete opposite of me and like what I think is logical. So he thinks I'm illogical, and I think that he's illogical when it comes to politics or Elon Musk and these things. And I disagree with him on a lot of things, actually, but I also agree with him on other things. So Sam's saying that he thinks that doing this podcast is in bad taste because people lost real money and suffered, shouldn't be an opportunity for self-publicity and fun stories, simply not appropriate. I do think that that's probably taking an extreme negative take on what it is that they're doing, but I do think that it's probably accurate to say that obviously they're not doing this just because, like, you're starting a channel, you're growing a channel safely to the moon, and there's multiple reasons why they're probably doing this. I'm sure they're probably going to say it, but if you take money out of the equation, there probably is some type of incentive. Just like me live streaming this, there's a financial incentive. I'm probably not going to make any money off of it, but there's the possibility of it. And anytime anybody's doing anything, it's usually there's some kind of incentive or financial incentive. I also think that they're trying to distance themselves and justify themselves because they finally can speak and they can finally say like, hey, we didn't do what John did. And that's why I was saying that I think that for them, the most damning parts that they'll have to deal with is how long they stayed with and continued to publicly support with Safemoon while the blockchain evidence and CoffeeZilla stuff was out, because that's probably where the most, really, any Safemoon holder stands. Not just Jonas and Hayden, but any Twitter person, Safemoon Maxi out there pumping Safemoon while we had that evidence, while we put that out there. You have to take accountability for how long did you ignore the obvious evidence and continue to support something that you knew was only hurting people. I do think it's a little odd that they threw up the chart here as soon as like kind of a jab, like, oh, you're going to jab us, we're going to jab you back because the price of Evergrow is down. So I don't know. That just seems kind of just kind of take a shot at Sam because you feel like he take a shot at you. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with Sam that not that it's poor taste, but that there does kind of feel like a sense of capitalizing off of it. but that's just part of the reason why it's like, hey, there is an opportunity to potentially capitalize off of it if you grow a channel, or you get a massive audience around something. Then you can direct them to something else, to you know to a book you make, or to other projects that you're talking about. There's a way. That's why they have advertisers, right? Everybody's trying to get large audience on to look at them in order to sell them something, in order to make profit off of them. So I think that is part of why they're doing this, but I think that also they're doing it because they, like Jonas said, they themselves would want to know what was going on the inside, just like I'm curious, even though I don't think it's like huge damning details. And to kind of justify themselves and distance themselves from what John did, especially now that John's in jail. So I think that's kind of my opinion so far.
Why shouldn't we tell the truth? Why wouldn't people deserve to know, hey, this is what happened at Safemoon?
Right, and this is also an example like Evergrow Sam. I really do like Evergrow Sam, and the way that they are running their company is much better than what Safemoon was, right? And I think because of the stories we're telling, there can be changes if needed, or there can be improvements for them. And I'm not saying that Evergrow needs to change their business model or how they run their business, but just knowing, like, bringing the right people, bringing people that understand crypto, bringing people that understand DeFi, bringing people that are business savvy, bringing people that have done things in the real world, right? And that's even like going to the Vitria side of things, like I know and have talked to them and know that they have successful businesses outside of crypto because they understand how to run it. And so it's like, look at that and find these people that aren't just DeFi PFPs on Twitter and pushing a token, and you're like, this could go to the moon. Like, yeah, sure, Pepe did. Now where's Pepe?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Doge and SHIB are the ones that are holding strong because they were originals. They were one of the firsts, right?
Yeah.
But 100% agree with you. Like, we need to tell the story. One, for us, I think, because at the same time, we may not have suffered financially or emotionally as much as the community did, but we also had to sit through a year and 6 months, a year and 9 months of just torture for people that didn't know what they were doing. And it was just so blatantly obvious that they were in the ear of John and really destructing something that could have been really good. So
yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but we probably both wish we had left sooner than we did.
Yeah.
And if there had been stories like this made public, if I was listening to this podcast when I was working at Safemoon, I'd be able to say, oh, hey, this has happened before. These are the warning signs.
From actual people that were in Safemoon.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even Ryan tried to, but at the same time, Ryan knew, like, he was in a lawsuit at one time.
Yeah.
And did John help him? No. So imagine if you started talking and John sues him, he's got no help on that end from a financial standpoint to even pay for lawyers, go through that legal process, so on and so forth. So it's like, why would we put having families, us two, why would we put ourselves in that situation?
Yeah, exactly. So that's really the main reason why we did this. Yeah. People deserve to know. We want, and as I've been talking to former coworkers of ours that are coming on, what people are saying is, hey, thank goodness you guys are doing this. People need to hear. Also, a lot of our former coworkers are saying, hey, I want to clear mine now. I want to make it clear. This is what I did at Safemoon. This is what happened.
Yeah.
Because the majority of us had no idea.
Had no idea.
Once again, people are acting like, oh, you've held on to this information and now you're coming out. Like, we have nothing that will change anything in court. We have no info.
Because it's not part of that timeline.
Yeah.
Again.
And that all, once again, it shocked us. I remember we figured that, because obviously there were red flags, we assumed there was something shady going on. And so me guessing, I'm like, if John ever does go to jail, he'll probably a year or two, I don't know, a little fine. Right. So when we read the court documents, we were texting each other like, holy crap, how did all this happen? And once again, most of it happened before we were even there.
Right.
Just these things take a long time, and he was already under investigation. And so we don't have any info that was necessary or that will change anything.
Right.
We just have like real stories of incompetence. And once again, like, we don't want to make light of it, but why not, have some fun? Like, don't you want to hear how I was told to knock doors to sell a cybersecurity product that didn't exist? Like, it's a crazy story. It's fun. Like,
in a building where
why not laugh
like,
about it?
Where we have aroma. It's an aroma company.
Yeah.
Where we have like e-commerce companies and all, like, I get it. Like, and this is we can talk about that another day. But yes, it was just poorly run, poorly managed, and they just thought they could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on both timelines. Let's just say that. Thought they could do anything. Thought they were so business savvy that they could just knock doors for something that was being created. Let's say it existed to an extent.
Yes.
It was being created, it was being built, but at the same time, if you go sell it and say, "Hey, you want to test our product?" Could they test it? Not at that time.
Yeah.
Then, like, I think a couple months later, they finally put it on the wallet, so you couldn't even sell it or show it.
Yeah, exactly. The framework of this podcast too, honestly, is I kept a list on my phone. I just called them Safemoon stories when I started working there.
Yeah.
Anytime something crazy would happen.
Yep.
And I'd tell friends, like, dude, you want to hear what happened at work? And so I started keeping a list, and people would tell me, like, man, you got to write a book.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be such a fun book to read.
Yeah.
So much bad happened from Safemoon, but that was one thing I always said. I'm like, at least I had entertaining stories to tell from my time working there. Like, that's one of the silver linings.
Right.
And so why not share that with the world? There's so much bad that came from it. It's over. It's water under the bridge. Let's learn from it, and let's also have a laugh, because like, once again, you wouldn't believe. Like, it's crazy what happened.
Right. And we also have to understand that the people that work there that didn't do anything, this is on their resume. I'm sure they want to be like, just so you know, I was actually working my ass off. I was. You and I, and my sales department, I know we were working our asses off to try and build up that swap. Try and get ready for the exchange that was supposed to come out. The NFT marketplace that was supposed to come out. The freaking orbital shield that was supposed to come out. We were working our asses off. The point of sale that was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
We were working our asses off to try and build up a network and sell a vision that we believed would be able to happen. Now talk about all the other employees that were actually under contract. Like, now they go to another Web3 company, and the first thing that Web3 company is going to see is, oh, you worked at Safemoon? Didn't John just get... You know what I mean? Like, this is, as much as it is affecting the community, this is also affecting people that believed in something that could be and could have been great.
Yeah. To
where now they have, like, they're probably not going to put it on their resume, even though they spent a year or 2 years or 3 years of their life trying to build it.
Yeah, and because I've had people ask me, with good intentions, hey, why do you still have that on your LinkedIn or on your resume?
Yeah.
And my answer is, like, why not? I didn't do anything wrong. If anything, it shows I'm a great worker, because if I can get this much done at that terrible of a company, imagine what I can do for a real company.
Right.
Right. We did good work.
We did great work.
We did the best that we could with what we had.
Right.
We were the only shining light in that company, the only source of revenue outside of a few T-shirts. Which,
in the swap, but
yeah, and so I'm not ashamed. Like,
I'm not ashamed either, and I think you're 100% right.
And when
what
we
a dysfunctional company, and we were able to bring in so much revenue.
Yeah, and when we did find out, or not even find out, when we did had the inklings and we saw the flags, we left, and I'm glad that we did when we did. Maybe I probably should have left earlier. But we did everything we could to make that a legit business.
Definitely. If I wasn't so focused on just doing my job and trying to make sure that we get more people to benefit the community from the swap standpoint and the exchange standpoint, probably would have left earlier. I even stayed longer than Jonas because I had a team.
Mm-hmm.
I had just hired 3 new guys.
So, like, I'm not trying to be overly critical of Hayden or Jonas, but I'm just trying to, like, be real, and without just giving them, like, a pass, or myself a pass. I pumped Safemoon. I made math videos. I talked about how amazing it would be. I fell for stuff, and I encouraged that, but they can say, I was one of the very few, very, very, very few people very, very early on that would always talk about the negative stuff, because I'm always like, why would we suppress information and then think that we're making good choices? Like, it was always just obvious to a lot of us to be like, of course you want to know the good and the bad. However, there does seem to be something about. Well, I'll just let it play a little bit longer, and then I'll speak.
4 new guys after you left, and
Yeah.
was managing those guys. And imagine me just leave these guys in the dust. They have no idea, to an extent, the in-depth side of crypto or blockchain or all these other things. I was literally teaching them and back and forth. But finally, there was that last straw where I was like, I'm not moving to Miami, and I left.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make sense, and there were just so many things that were going in weird directions.
And one other point that people have gotten upset about, at different times, the
Yeah.
prices that we charged for listings or marketing were leaked. And, people like Randolph.
Well, I guess that would just be a question I have for Hayden at that point. And it would be good if they open this up to like a Twitter space or such a way that they can actually answer people's questions. It's good that they're coming out and that they're at least telling their side of the story. At least you're getting something instead of just burying it and trying to disappear. So like, I do appreciate them doing that. I do think it's probably a good thing for them to do this. But when he was saying them profiting, the community profiting off of the swap partners, I'm like, as far as I could tell, the Safemoon community got wrecked by almost every swap partner. Now, they could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it looked like. It looked like on Twitter, them getting super excited and then getting wrecked over and over. I never once was interested in any swap partner that they brought on. And I don't know if there's just a ton of insider stuff going on, but maybe Hayden or somebody, or maybe they do that later in this, explain why that he saw the swap partner, unless he's talking about a fee or something that fed into SafeMoon, or how does that benefit the community, especially if the community, like you were saying, is the product. That's why they're paying to be on the swap, is so that the SafeMoon holders will buy the swap so that they, and potentially people they know, I'm not saying that this is what they agreed to, but obviously if you get on the swap, people that have that inside knowledge, the insider trading, whether it be the Safemoon LLC or whatever, a Safemoon HQ, or whether it be the swap partners that are like, oh, we'll pay to get listed, and then the Safemoon army will buy, and then we'll sell on them. Like, I don't know. I guess just I don't see how that would benefit the community. That's just one thing that, and I could be wrong. That's just my thought right there.
Now we're saying, oh, you charge too much. Like, we had repeat customers.
Repeat.
We had clients that would come back and upgrade to a bigger marketing package.
Yeah. Why?
You know?
Not because it didn't work. If
Yeah.
it didn't work, they wouldn't have repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some projects that it just didn't hit or didn't work. Maybe and I'm not blaming us. I'm not blaming them. I should say not us. I'm not blaming Safemoon. I'm not blaming them. But maybe the utility wasn't great. Maybe it was just a repeat type of utility. Maybe it just wasn't a great, team, things like that, right? But I've talked to multiple owners of projects that we brought on, and the amount they paid exceeded, like, the marketing and the exposure and what they brought in from a community standpoint exceeded their expectations, and some of them came back.
Yeah, and we did a great job at managing expectations. Like I mentioned before, we never told anyone, hey, your price is going to increase. You're going to get more followers. We said, we have a huge community. We will give you exposure. We will take the horse to water. You got to make it drink. Basically is what we said.
Yeah.
And the community loved some of these projects, like Grove. They grabbed a hold of that and blew it up.
Right.
Some of the other ones didn't really go anywhere.
Right.
And, we did our job. We listed them. We gave them marketing.
Yeah.
It's not up to us if people bought it or followed them or whatever metrics you track.
Right.
And
even when it wasn't working like they hoped, we tried our best to find other alternatives and solutions for them to get exactly what they paid for and what they wanted. And yeah.
I will say that it does come off that Hayden and Jonas did genuinely try to do, as far as I can tell, the best for the company and the best for the community. Just wanted to say that. Even though they're talking about bringing on swap partners, and like I said, I could be wrong. You guys let me know in the live comment or down in the comments. I think Safemoon Army just got wrecked on the swap partners. I think they bought in Grove, Falaji, that guy he was dumping on the Grove holders. So there might have been some Safemoon people who got in and got out at the right time. But knowing the Safemoon mindset of like holding until you're a billionaire or a millionaire, which was like the Safemoon mindset. I bet 90+% of Safemoon holders that bought into the swap partners probably lost money. And I'm not saying that's their fault because they're just doing their job. It's their job to get partners to bring on. But I'm just saying I don't know if that's a good thing for the community as far as the swap partners, unless there's a transaction fee, because the money wasn't even going to the community. The money was going to the HQ or whatever. I'm not trying to be harsh towards Jonas and Hayden. John's uncle already said like great podcast to them. So he has a lot more inside information than me, knowing what's going on, especially legally and everything. So, and he like seems to be in full support of Jonas and Hayden. I'm just trying to not just trying to just let them off the hook. You know what I mean? I still think that you should be real and hold them to that standard. And I'm not even saying that they did anything wrong here. It's their job to go get swap partners, bring them into Safemoon. I just don't think that helped Safemoon at all. I think Safemoon profited off of that. The holders took the hit for the most part. And then the projects that were coming in had opportunity to profit off of larger, like if they're coming back, that means that it was more profitable than it was to actually spend that money that they spent to get that promotion, that they probably made more money, whether, I don't know how these projects were, if they had a fee that built into a tax, or if they literally just had their own bags that they were selling. I don't know. I didn't pay much attention to a lot of the swap partners. I do know that Grove seemed to be a really bad one. And so with that, I guess there would just be like, okay, I see you're doing what you should have done. I would just have to ask you, how did this benefit the community, bringing on these swap partners? And I know you meant well and you did well and you're doing your job and you're doing a good job. I'm just saying, how did that benefit the community, and did it not mostly just hurt the community?
Maybe there are some things on there like being on the exchange. That was one of the things we said, hey, once that exchange comes out, this specific package will allow you to be a direct link to that exchange.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like, to be clear, I feel terrible about.
Yeah.
We were sold the lie that the exchange was right around the corner.
We were sold the lie on the exchange, the NFT marketplace, point of sale.
Yeah, and so we sold people,
Yeah.
and that was part of it. Hey, when the exchange does come out, you will be listed on it.
Yeah.
Which we believed it was coming out.
Yeah.
We were sent screenshots.
Like
constantly.
literally every other month was a screenshot of the exchange. I was like, this looks great. This looks amazing. When
we
is it
saw
coming?
demos.
Yeah.
We talked to people
We
that
saw
were in charge
like
of the
literal transactions, and people in the community saw those transactions as well.
Yeah, and I get it was white labeled and we didn't build it in house, but it was still would have been, and we were led on to believe that it was coming out. So I definitely feel bad about that.
Yeah, sure. I do too. But at the same time, like, we're not devs. We're not pushing it. It was hard to really get a complete answer on that.
Yeah. So maybe now we should go through some of the comments, concerns, questions. We've addressed some of them.
Yeah.
Safemoon Aussie says, why didn't you speak up when you worked there? You just took our money and now you are feeding off the Safemoon army. I think you both a pretty low individuals. Good sentence there.
All right, mate.
At John Caroni's Twitter account is a more honorable man than both of you. We've addressed some of this already. Again, there's nothing to speak up about. Like, we didn't have anything that would put John behind bars.
No.
Like, what do you want us to say? Hey, here's some questionable hires. Hey, here's some questionable financial decisions of the company.
Sorry I talked to John about people being incompetent in our company and he didn't do anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
That I mean, there's just trying to be as honest as I can about this. Is I think the funding that they were getting paid from was at some point, and I'm sorry, Jonas and Hayden, I'm just trying to be real, and I'd be open to hearing your guys' answers on these things, but I'm just responding. At some point, like, I think you might have thought, am I being paid by money that was taken out of the LP? And, both you guys said, like, you wish you had quit earlier, looking back. And I think that it's not about, like, trying to prove, like, oh, you're guilty. It's about just, like, owning up to what the role you actually played, the amount of knowledge you actually had and all that. And when the Safemoon Maxi comes in here and says that you guys are complicit or whatever, I would only say that you start to become complicit as you knew that the funds that probably were funding everything, including probably, your salaries or whatever, came from the LP. At that would have been a very, and I'm not saying that I would have done, like, who knows? That'd be what, my livelihood's on the line, my job. I have bills to pay. I got a family to take care of. You want me to just quit my job because I found this out? And I think you see that the people who get out of Safemoon earliest, who responded to the right information the quickest, demonstrated to be the most trustworthy. And you know what I mean? The sooner you realize these things and responded to them and became like someone who was promoting the truth, the more trustworthy you are. But the Safemoon maxis that lasted till the bitter end, like defending John while he's in jail, defending Safemoon after they halted trading, still saying that John's a good guy while he's in jail. You've demonstrated, like, we can't trust you to tell what's real. You can't tell what's real, even when it's in front of your face, to such an extreme. And so that would be my only question to them. I hope they answer that either during this or in the future, would kind of be to nail in on, like, what after that information came out, then how did it look at HQ? Then how did your job, like, what were you thinking going into work and seeing a CoffeeZilla video about how John took from the LP? And what did it make you think, maybe we're being paid by this, maybe we should quit, maybe we should go find another job and get out of this as quickly as possible? You don't have to, like, stop and come out and, like, be blow the whistle on it, but maybe they also felt like, well, maybe not 100% that's the case or not, but we'll see. Hopefully they deal with those things. That's, like, my main concerns, because something about this does feel like, and Jonas seemed like a really cool guy, Hayden seems like a really cool guy, something about this does feel more like it's about an opportunity than it is about, like, actually trying to, like, help people. And, like, I totally get Jonas's perspective of, wow, these are crazy stories, and I should tell these stories, and these guys telling me I should write a book. But at the same time, and like, if you're going to do something, why not, capitalize on it? If you're going to help people and give them something they want, why not, make money off of it? I don't know about, like, writing a book or just starting up a podcast. Like, I don't see that as a bad thing, really, but it's something about it just does feel opportunistic, it does, and I don't know why it feels that way. And because it feels that way, and it doesn't feel like as open as, like, coming to the community and doing a space and answering those questions. I mean, they kind of are answering a few questions here and there, but not like starting a space and being like, hey, let's let people come up. And I get why you wouldn't do that, because you're going to get a bunch of idiots coming up and slandering you and lying about you and not wanting to hear anything you've said. But there is something about taking the heat from the community, because they're going to be more likely to push you to answer the hard questions than you might be with yourself when it comes to some of these things. But I mean, they're doing a good job so far, but we'll keep watching.
Nothing. And even if we did say that just to warn people, we would have been sued to the ends of the earth from John. So nothing we could do.
As much as people saw a digital character in John, as much as, and once again, this isn't talking, as the community say, shit on John. Like, why are you talking shit on someone like that? It's more like, hey, John was a friend. I really appreciated John and him trying to take Safemoon in a different direction than it was before. And I think of him as a friend. Like, I was literally going to meet with him the day he got picked up on the tarmac from the FBI. He texted me, hey, I'm flying in. Let's meet up for lunch. Even after I left, right? But yeah, there's nothing you can really talk about in that regard, because half these people that are talking were not in that office with us three and didn't see what happened every day. Yeah. They just assume they have that Area 32 chat, and they have, these private chats with themselves, right? Where they're, like, talking about things they think are going to happen or know or hear through the grapevine. But at the end of the day, they didn't have to experience it. And, like I said, John's a friend, and you think he's more honorable than this? Sure. But he's also in.
I said this a long time ago. I don't know if you guys that followed me or whatever, but I said over a year ago. It was a long time ago, and it was kind of directed at Jonas. I don't think I said specifically Jonas, but I said if there's anybody at Safemoon that has inside knowledge, then you have almost an obligation to leak that information to us through a source. If you can do it in such a way that doesn't reveal who you are, then leak that information out to the public if you have any kind of inside knowledge. And we did kind of establish that if Ryan didn't know where John got his funding from, obviously Jonas and Hayden aren't going to know either until CoffeeZilla puts out a video with Bootsy and his team that they've been researching for the past year. So, and you know what I think it is. The problem is like I'm honestly on their side. They seem like genuine guys, but I think that until you establish your innocence, and I think that the area of your innocence is going to be when that blockchain evidence came out, when CoffeeZilla came out with his the information. How long were you there? What was going through your mind? That's because if you can satisfy that, then it would leave me a lot more open to being like, okay, you guys were just trying your best. Other that and the question of like back to that question towards Hayden, if Hayden ends up watching this, I don't know. If you could answer that in the future podcast, like how did, in your mind, getting partners on the swap help the Safemoon army? Was it that they were getting good opportunities to make money? Was it that there was some of the tax was somehow going to helping promote Safemoon, and you thought that eventually that would lead to Safemoon doing well when the products came out? It was helping fund the runway. Like, I was just curious in your mind how you saw that the Safemoon swap partners were benefiting the Safemoon holders, because in my perspective, unless you know you're some of the bigger Safemoon Twitter influencers and had inside knowledge and were buying those before they came out, which I think was happening on some of those, then you're probably just getting wrecked. You're probably just buying and then it was dumping on you. So it would be good to hear Hayden address that as well in the future episode.
In New York right now.
Yeah, and to the people that don't like that we're doing this or what we're saying, you don't have to listen.
You don't have to listen. It's okay.
You know, you don't have to.
This is more of a therapy session as well for us.
Honestly, and
You know?
even if you want to listen, there's no paywall we're hiding behind or
No.
anything. And we don't need or want the attention. We talked about this forever until we actually started it, and neither of us, we knew that there would be negative backlash from people.
Yeah. Literally, Jonas brought this up to me 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We only started recording like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't want to get into it. You didn't really know the implications of your NDA or my NDA. Literally, we talked to lawyers.
Yep.
To see like, and that was even after John got arrested and the company just started to become nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once it got liquidated, or once they filed for bankruptcy, that's when we took action.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, those would be my two main questions for Jonas and Hayden was how did what you did benefit the community, and how did it negatively impact the community, even if you didn't intend for it? And how long were you there before you left? And I would give them props, like they left the company. They didn't stick with it knowing that all that was going on. It appears to be that when they found that information out, they were like, we got to get out of here. And eventually when the timing was right, they left. It was their... You know, I don't know how much money they have or how wealthy they are. They seem like they're pretty wealthy guys, but I could be wrong. However, that's still your source of income, and to just give it up instantly without having 100% proof. And I do think if you look at that evidence that we had, that you could see, oh, it's very likely that John stole from the LP, and that's where he got all his funding, and that he might be using some of that to pay us, and we might need to get the heck out of here, because if we stay here while that information is out there, that's going to look really bad on us. So I guess depending on when they got out, after they found that information out, and those are the two topics that I'd like for them to go into, I think it would just alleviate a lot of this like tension that the people are feeling. And like I made their arguments for them before they ever made it for themselves, way before any of this ever happened years ago. If they come out and said anything, Look what happened to John's uncle. Look what happened to anybody who did it. John will sue you, and the community will try to destroy you and cancel you and, attack you personally and all that. There was no benefit to coming out and saying anything. And also, I also made the argument that they probably didn't have any knowledge because Ryan didn't have it. Why would they have it? They weren't even there during that time. So we kind of already knew all those things. And so there's not like they had this deep secret knowledge unless they happened to walk in on John and he was laughing about how he got the money. You're kind of hoping that John would slip up at some point during them working there and give away some kind of signal that would have indicated that what they saw in the CoffeeZilla videos was true. That would be more of the stuff that I would be interested in, less about the incompetence and how prideful and dumb John is, and more about like, we realized that the money he probably did take that money when this happened. That would be interesting to hear about from them as well. But yeah, I would like for them to address that hopefully in the future if they don't already in the first 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah. And again, it's not like we benefit from this. This is us saying, hey, maybe we have a moral responsibility to tell the world what happened.
Yeah.
And we can bring some smiles while we're at it because we have fun stories.
I'll read this one. This one's good. This is from JP Said It at Stage Driver J. Shout out. Anybody think to hire these two better think twice. They will stab you in the back for clicks. I hope John sues you after he's proven not guilty. And then he goes on to say, also, nothing goes away on the web. These videos will be there for the rest of your lives. And, hey, I still see that you have your Safemoon profile picture. Like, once again, I don't want to attack these people because I really appreciated them and really am fond of the community. I am. And so when people say things like this, it's like, do you know how many times we got stabbed in the back while we were working for Safemoon?
You're about to find out.
You're about to find out. Like, yeah, like this isn't stabbing anybody in the back. Like this is saying this is what happened. This is true fact. Like I can pull 17 knives out of my back from working at Safemoon if you want to really talk about stabbing in the back. And not just from Safemoon employees, Safemoon influencers, Safemoon community members.
Oh yeah.
People that we had as projects on the swap, like those projects. We've had some people stab us in the back in that regard.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've been stabbed so many times. I can't believe I'm still alive. So it's fine. Like sure. And if John sues us when he gets out, I doubt he will. Like, I don't even want to talk about his trial yet. But that's going to be a long shot.
Yeah. I mean, once again, we've talked to lawyers. And we're not speculating on anything. We're not everything that we're saying. This is just true stories. What happened to us while we worked there?
Correct.
Nothing that we say has anything to do with or will affect the court proceedings. Which I don't even know if there's a date for that. I don't know what's going on there.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't really caught up. I see a couple people post like the liquidation just went through. I think I saw it on Twitter, but I haven't seen really anything about John.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean JP. If we can get JP to take the Safemoon logo out of his profile picture, that's a win for me. I just want him to see, hey, maybe this company that I still somehow am a fan of wasn't a great company. It's gone now, but
but JP, that's his resume, dude. Just leave it. Put it on your banner. But just at least change the PFP.
And I mean, the fact nothing goes away on the web, these videos will be there for the rest of your lives. I'm glad,
we should go look through his tweets because nothing leaves the web unless he deletes it.
I mean, I want this to always be a record forever that, hey, I will always tell the truth.
Yeah.
I will share what, I believe in what's right. And if I feel like people have a moral responsibility to tell something or to hear something, like that's me, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. So
I hope the truth stays around, and
too.
I hope this persuades people that are doing something similar to what John did to not.
Yeah.
The truth always comes out. K Dizzle at Kendall Stansel. These the same people. These the same people that showed their faces with Safemoon and smiled right at you and told you how great it was. LOL. I wouldn't have taken the job with Safemoon if I didn't think it was great.
Right.
We were all conned.
Once again, this is what we talked about before. potential.
Yeah,
It had potential. There was a great community behind it. There was great vision.
yeah,
Who wouldn't get behind it and say, let's build this together?
yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I bet you Kate Dizzle, if she got a job offer in front of her to work for Safemoon back in 2021, she would have said
Heck
yes.
yeah. I mean, Kate Dizzle, we're not that different. And not even us. John got CEO of the year from Utah Business.
Yes.
They were also conned. Plenty of successful business people here and outside of Utah were fans or involved with Safemoon.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a really good point. I think everybody wants to blame them, and the truth is, most people that are pointing the finger at John and Ryan and Jonas and Hayden would have definitely just done, if not worse, what they did. And I'm not saying what they did was bad, but you probably, like Jonas said, you probably would have taken a job there. You probably would have stayed there. You probably would have kept your job. You might have kept it longer than they did because you might have wanted the money that you were making because they're probably making good money. And I've said this, it's just my speculation, that if you were defending SafeMoon after the evidence came out, the blockchain evidence, and after the court, after he got arrested and all that stuff, if you continued to defend him, I don't know that you're that far from doing what John did. Like, you might have said, oh, it's for the company, we just pull out 200 million, pull out 30 million, and it's my money, so I'm going to spend it how I see fit. I think that the people that are throwing rocks most of the time are guilty of the same thing that they're judging people for, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, we thought it was
SafeMoon
great.
came to Utah and was like, and people that were interested in crypto and interested in blockchain and all that technology were ecstatic. Well, to an extent, right? There were people that obviously had their reservations, but people were excited to have something, a Web3 company there was a couple already, but in Utah Valley, Pleasant Grove, where they could tangibly open a door and say, a Web3 company in Utah.
Yeah,
Like,
a household name.
Household name.
One other thing that bugs me is, again, people are acting like we knew the entire time. If you go look back at my tweets, I won't delete this. This was about a year ago. I had probably a little less than a year ago. I had left SafeMoon. I had a few months out.
Yeah.
Maybe you remember, I posted a huge thread. In that thread, because I had said the day before, hey, let me know if you want to hear my thoughts on SafeMoon.
I remember that.
And a lot of people.
I said, oh boy.
Yeah, you said, oh boy. Because you're like, here it comes. A lot of people said, sure, Jonas, you worked for SafeMoon. I want to hear your thoughts on SafeMoon. In that thread, I said SafeMoon is not a scam and it's not a rug pull.
Yeah.
That is what I believed. I knew that John was a terrible CEO. I knew that there was some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I firmly believed that they were trying everything, and maybe they were at the same time while he was taking money, still trying to make a legitimate business.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a scam. Didn't think it was a rug pull. So I was shocked when, once again, the court docs came out. I'm like, holy crap, I was wrong,
Yeah.
But again, there's gray area there.
Yeah.
I still believe that John was trying to make it a legit business, but he
Yes,
just
I
thought
do
it was
too.
okay for him to use the LP money.
Sure.
I don't think that I don't think Safemoon was built to be a vehicle to launder money.
No.
I think the opportunity presented itself and they jumped on it.
Yeah, and once again, we have to establish the business was an actual business with operating capital from products that they built. Sure.
Oh, yeah, and I would just say, props to Jonas for owning up and saying I was wrong. I remember when he put that out, I was like, really? SafeMoon's not a scam? It's somewhere between the middle of FTX and this thing. I was like, no, it's obviously a scam for a lot of different reasons, for how it was started and the fact that John, I don't know. And that's where it just would be good to talk to Jonas and Hayden, or maybe I need to go find their post where they're asking where these questions are, where you can put it in the video. I don't know. Which was when you're telling me that, did you guys actually go look at the blockchain? When CoffeeZilla put out that video, did you literally type in Gabe Wallet? Did you copy that, go into your BSC scan, look it up, and go look at the millions of dollars that transferred? I did a live stream, literally going through that, doing it myself. Did you go look? Did you know that he had a mansion? Did you know that he was spending millions on himself? Did you know that there was no way to account for that money and where it came from when they got it? Did you know that Safemoon wasn't producing any profit, any type of money until way after John already had all those millions of dollars, and that this is the time frame that Coffee and Bootsy were showing, that the millions of dollars coming from the Bitmart deal going into his wallet that was triple checked by the Devil wallet, the Moondog NFT. I mean, if you're saying I looked at all of that, how much time and effort did you put into looking into that, or did you just kind of think, that could be, but it's nothing? Like, I'm just curious, like, what went through their mind at that point? Why did it take so long to realize something that we all knew, like, basically right away? You just go look at it and you'd be like, holy cow. So that would be another question I have for them if they did watch this, if they go over it in the future, would be, how much effort did you put into double checking CoffeeZilla's information on specifically the blockchain and on when John got that money? And why did it take him getting arrested and the court documents for that to sink in? Because, and I'm not saying that I'm better than them at all. I definitely reacted to Safemoon better, but I'm not better than them. I definitely covered Safemoon probably more realistically than anybody the entire time, outside of maybe a couple fudders, but even them were just overly negative just because they hated Safemoon. Would be, yeah. So it'd be like, how much time did you put into studying that information, and why did it take so long to realize that? Because what I was going to say was, when you put out that tweet that said, oh, it's not a scam, and I know it's great that you're owning up to it. It's hard to own up to things, and it takes a man to just be like, damn, I was wrong. And definitely huge props to doing that, because a lot of people are not doing that when it comes to Safemoon right now. They're trying to shift blame on everybody else but themselves, and it's kind of hard to watch. So Jonas is definitely owning up to that, and you do have to own up to, like, you were wrong about it while you had all that information. So it would be good to hear your thoughts on why you didn't accept that information as true, and why it was so shocking when it happened later on, why you thought it wasn't a scam after all that information came out. Would be good to hear that explanation if he doesn't do that here.
Sure, John, as far as we know, used LP, but I don't know where it was put, right? Mm-hmm. And so, sure, probably the LP, and this is me saying I have no idea, maybe the LP did build these products, but those products that were built had revenue coming in. And imagine the swap at its peak, the 3% transaction that was going through. They were making upwards of 25 to 50 million in weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you really think about that, like, it was a legit business and whatever.
Yeah.
Next is our boy Rocky.
Hey, this is like clockwork. I love Rocky, Randolph, and Felix. Those three are my favorite, because anytime I tweet anything to this day, yeah, they're gonna come on, and it's an open dialogue. I don't block people, I don't delete comments. Yeah. But
so Randolph, I don't know if anybody's watching this. Randolph said, he came into one of my Twitter spaces, and I regret going to Twitter. I honestly don't like Twitter, but I came into one of my spaces and said, okay, you have some good questions, but you're not positive enough. And then I continued to cover Safemoon, like, John, you've got to answer this. I can't cover Safemoon positively unless you can account for what CoffeeZilla has brought out. And did you take millions out of the LP and spend it on yourself? Because it looks blatantly obvious like you did, and I can never talk positively about Safe. And so Randolph not only blocked me and said that I was just doing it for, I don't even know what he did. It's just, these are the people in Twitter. And if you're not a part of Twitter, honestly, don't come over there. It's such a cesspool of negativity and greed and accusations and slander and lying. It's just a terrible place to be. And Rocky, unfortunately, was one of those people, too, that they're about to talk about, was just up my ass the entire time that I would be bringing to light all the information. It takes a lot of you take a lot of heat for bringing the truth to a cult that doesn't want to face that truth. You take a lot of heat, and I'm not trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm awesome. But I dealt with that heat throughout the entire lifetime of Safemoon. I used my channel and I put the information out there at the most important time. I didn't wait. I did it right away. Most important time you needed to know it. And I took the brunt face attacks of these cult maxis like Randolph and Rocky and many other people slandering, lying, accusing you of doing it for views, for money, that you're being paid to do it, that you're trying to steal people for all these things. And so I can't wait to hear what Rocky's about to say to them.
Yeah, Jonas loves the clockwork. I respect these guys from a standpoint of what they did for the community and trying to build up Safemoon, right? So I'll never really attack them, but I'll definitely like question things like this. Didn't witness fraud, Rocky says. Proceeds to tell us of at least 5 instances of fraud. So I went through the 8 or 10 instances that we talked about, and I counted like 3, maybe 2. One was $8 million hack, which is fraud, but in some type of crime, but that wasn't we weren't part of that. Mm-hmm. That was somebody else taking our money.
And we didn't know anything more than what everyone else knew.
Right.
So
right.
Like we asked questions, didn't get answers.
Right. And the other one was the Gambia, stealing the Jeep. We weren't there. We just heard about from the stories of John out of John's mouth. Dude, you won't believe what we just went through.
Yeah.
What are you talking? And this is us sitting in our office and John walking in after his excursion from the Gambia.
That's hilarious.
Talking about that whole situation.
Uh-huh. And the way that John framed it was actually his property. I know there was some great.
Yeah.
But what are we supposed to do? Call the cops? Hey, my boss just told me a story about a Jeep they drove across borders and it might have had the title. Like, we had no idea. We just heard the story.
We just heard the story that they almost got killed on their way home.
And he probably just had a glass of wine before he told us, because every time he drinks, he gets in those moods. I don't know what's true or what's not. He just tells us things,
right.
you know? Like, what are we supposed to do with that information?
Yeah, and there was like maybe 1 or 2 other instances that you could deem as, well, the insider trading was the other one. Yeah. We had set up a parameter between our sales department. You're not doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
Other people wanted to set those parameters and then did the insider trading.
And again, we couldn't prove anything.
Like,
he made a comment that led us to find a wallet that was probably his.
And I couldn't say, show me your wallet. Show me your OX, dude.
Yeah.
Like, show it to me. No. So.
And that, to be clear, that was brought up internally, and one of the reasons why this employee was later fired.
Yeah. I literally ripped into John, and it led into the other conversation of him and Kate. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know. I probably shouldn't say her name. But it led to that conversation. So, and then eventually, we did do something to get some shiz off of our chest and also to get these guys out of the company just to be replaced by somebody else that did the same thing. Or it was just as bad.
You know, now that you mention it, because I'd almost forgotten, that was one of the reasons why we held on, because we believed that this executive...
This one person, if he was to be able to be pushed out...
We talked about this a lot.
We did.
We could do good things here.
We could do great things if we just get that wall out of our way. Mm-hmm. And seeing that what he did was like, finally, there's something. And the other thing, right, the dating, right? Like, once we tell John...
Oh, they're talking about that one guy who was part of the podcast. Oh, I can't remember his name. He was the guy that like helped distribute milk and all that stuff, and he was the one who was like dating the HR lady or something like that. And he was the one who apparently said, if John wants to run Safemoon off a cliff, then I'll help him push the pedal or something like that. Basically, I'm going to do whatever John wants to do, even if it's completely reckless and destroying everything. And it seems to be that's who they're talking about right now. What was that guy's dang name? Was it Josh? I think it might have been Josh.
John, get him out of here. Then we can just be like, all right, let's finally start moving forward and advancing this company.
Yeah.
Just to find out. It took another 2 months to get him pushed out, and he had to get pushed out because I can tell that story later.
Yeah, that's a good story.
But yeah, so then Rocky says, so are you too complicit looking for clout? Farming your next career? All the above? Rocky.
None of the
Rocky. So none of the above. Not complicit. Clout. we can talk about Clout Rocky. How many tweets do you send out a month
Yeah.
in regards to what, you know? And it looks like you switched your name to XRP, Sol, and ICP. It used to be Safemoon. So it's like, who's really looking for clout?
Once again, we didn't even want the attention.
Mm.
If I wanted attention, I have a YouTube channel with my wife. We do videos on Instagram. They get hundreds of thousands of views of me doing funny things. Like I have plenty of other ways to get attention. We didn't want this attention. We did it because it needed to be done. It needed to be said, and we figured there could be some good that came from it.
Yeah.
And we, farming your next career. We both have careers.
Yeah.
We both work full time.
Yep.
This is a fun project we do on the side.
Starting your own companies. Just
Yep.
kidding.
Rez at Rez_2020. You guys are any better. Why does everyone?
These guys.
There's a common theme I'm
I
seeing
don't know
here.
what's going on.
with
They can't
the
talk
grammar.
for some
It's like they're typing so fast that they accidentally mess up.
You guys are any better than your old boss. All of you are a bunch of scammers stealing people's hard-earned money. No thanks. I have no time to listen to scammers putting shiz on each other.
Putting shit on me?
Yeah,
Okay, and then Daz underneath says, should also be said that it's hard to believe these people wouldn't be privy to the fraudulent activity happening. If they are mentioning this now, they knew back then. Once again, timelines.
Yeah,
Timelines.
The first half of that comment is pretty valid. You know, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
You know, and Sam has mentioned this too. You know, hey, there's clear evidence of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why did it take him 2 years to get arrested? You know,
Right. 2 years to get arrested. Had to go through that whole process of investigation.
Well, because they're saying, is he making the argument right there that because it took so long that the evidence wasn't clear? Is that what he's saying?
To then get arrested. It's like, yeah, I understand. Like, once again, you can call me naive and incompetent, but we were there to do our jobs.
Yeah. And he says, would be careful if I were them. They might come under review as well. I welcome it. Someone on TikTok asked, hey, have you guys been asked to be a witness in court or whatever? I said, sure, I'm an open book. You know, once again, I don't have a whole lot that's going to help.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they bring us into court, what are we going to say? Once again, I'm going to keep saying this. Timelines. I have no idea what John did. The only time I interacted with John outside of that business timeline or being with Safemoon timeline was me talking to him when he was at Tano. Before he even talked about Thomas. Before Thomas met the guys there. Me saying, what's up, dude? I see you started a business. That's what I said. He didn't respond to me until after he got to Safemoon and started Safemoon. Hey, dude, I just started this business called Safemoon. That's all I said.
Yeah.
That's the only interaction I had. After that, kind of lost contact until he moved the business to Utah. Was like, hey, come on as a sales director. So it's like we have no idea or no inclination of how all that occurred. So how can we give any testimony?
I've been reading court documents as they come out.
Yeah.
Like a book.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
This is great. You know, it's all news to me.
Yeah.
So I'm an open book. You know, I'm a fan of the legal process and doing what's right. I don't think I have a whole lot to help. Maybe there is some tidbit of information that comes out that helps. That'd be awesome.
Probably like the purchases he had.
Yeah.
Like, we've been to his house.
Yep.
Yeah, we've driven in his car. Yes, we've driven in his Jeep. But that to me, like, I didn't know his salary.
Yeah,
sure, he was a CEO of a once $8 billion company. Like, my thought from a business standpoint is he's a CEO. Sure, he has millions in the bank. I get it. Right?
Yeah.
Now, in terms of having that be LP money, all that stuff, no idea. I thought it was just coming from Safemoon, the business. Right?
And he had told me on a separate occasion, we were actually talking about his car. He told me he made that from his other investing money.
Yeah.
And I had a whole conversation with him because, you know, I'm an avid crypto trader.
Yeah.
We had a whole conversation about Cosmos, about Atom, when he bought it, what he sold it at. And
right. And then he bought that car with Bitcoin.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, you know, this guy, he was early in crypto. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Come to find out, he was new to crypto to an extent and just was getting in on the ones that were hot. But, right. Let's go on to the next one.
Rudy Moon.
I like Rudy. The thing is, I want to preface, Rudy is one of the ones that I really enjoyed who hosted spaces. She was a good advocate for Safemoon. Now, obviously, there wasn't clear understanding of the time, like the timelines, and understanding of what the inside was going on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But she was always a beacon of, hey, Safemoon's trying to get somewhere.
Yep.
And never was really negative. But yeah.
All this proves to me is that you didn't give a shit about the community and you had zero morals or ethics. If you did, you would have come out long ago. You were complicit.
Yeah.
So we've pretty much addressed
covered
most
that,
of this.
yeah.
But you've also talked to Rudy,
Yeah.
right, since this tweet.
Yeah, I talked to her and just had an understanding, like, hey, I kept explaining the timeline. Said, hey, this is when I was hired. This is the business. Like, things happen there. This isn't talking shit on John. John's still well, we'll see. John's my friend for right now, but this was never a John is the worst. John did all this stuff. John. No, this is, I think John was in a position where he was put as CEO, had people around him that were in his ear, and from the things that they were saying, he kind of acted on those.
You know, the thing about John taking the LP is I don't know if he had anybody with him that was supporting him in that decision of what he was going to do. Thomas seemed to not know. Maybe Jack was the only one who knew. But it appeared to be that the main cause of Safemoon failing was done not as a collaborative team decision, not as Thomas and Hank and Ben Phillips and John coming together and saying, let's use the LP. It was actually the opposite. It was Hank going to John and saying, let's not use the LP. Don't rug the LP. The community's pissed at us. Let's not use it. So I think that John, exactly how CoffeeZilla laid it out, just came up with a deal that in his mind distorted the transactions to a point that he thought that if it ever was found out, that it wouldn't be provable and it wouldn't be obvious. It would be hard to find. And then he literally used the same wallets to buy the house. Like, he was so cocky about how he used those wallets. He could have been more careful, and it could have made it a lot harder to prove some of these things.
And we talked about this with Wormtongue and the gig situation and him being in his ear, and even that day that he basically kicked me out of the leadership group.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that day where they went to the back of Sketch's office and just sat there and talked to each other the whole time?
Yeah.
For literally almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours. And then after that, came back and said, sorry, Hayden, you're gone. So it's like, Rudy, like, you're awesome. Thanks for everything you did at Safemoon, or with Safemoon in the community, and really building it up, because I know this isn't, like I said earlier, this isn't just a financial burden on a lot of people, but emotional. There are a lot of people that came into the community to just have a sense of belonging and meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really knock that, because I really appreciated the conversations I had meeting in person over in Park City with these guys,
mm-hmm.
and just having conversations over messages, right? But yeah, complicit. I think we need to just kind of squash that.
This is where I'd say, and I've already said it multiple times, and I hope they address this, and maybe I'll go try to find their Twitter or something and post it, but I hope that they address, because the only complicit that you have is what you knew and how long you continue to work there for. And that's going to come down to how long after CoffeeZilla brought out that information did you work there? How much did you suppress any information, if you suppressed any? How much did you pump Safemoon? How much time and effort and energy did you put into researching that information for yourself? And that's, if you're trying to find condemnation with these guys, that's where it's going to be found, is how much blockchain evidence did you ignore being tied the millions of dollars to his house that was very clearly laid out by CoffeeZilla in a entertaining, fun to watch video. It wasn't like it was some hard information to get a hold of. And I don't think it was like you could watch the CoffeeZilla video and come away and go, I don't know, maybe that's not true, or maybe it's 50-50. It was like, no, it leans so heavily towards John taking the LP, of the audio of Hank saying John wanted to rug the LP, John living in a trailer before this and working for that to suddenly having millions of dollars before Safemoon's ever profitable. This is where, if you're trying to find tension with them, and where I feel tension with them, is where it has to be satisfied. Is like, we knew and we didn't. It didn't seem provable, or it didn't jive with me. I don't know. That's where I think if they're trying to alleviate that tension of being complicit, that it needs to be alleviated is when you had that information, how long did it take you, and why didn't you accept it when it came out? Like, why did it take later on for you to be like, oh wow, that was true? Because then you're kind of helping people ignore that as if it was FUD as well. So that's where I think they really need to be able to answer some of those tougher questions.
Yeah.
Timeline. And morals and ethics. I feel like the moral side of things, Jonas and I are doing this to more or less, that kind of speaks to the morals.
Mm-hmm.
If it was somebody else with not good morals, would they be doing this? Would they be talking about this? No, they'd probably just sail off in the sunset and everyone would be suffering.
And like, yeah, I just want to say that as well too, is usually when you have something to hide is when you don't come out. You're right. Publicly. Usually you're trying to hide, not say anything. John, you post a meme of Neo holding his hand out. He had something to hide. He wasn't like going out into the public and saying, CoffeeZilla, let's do a video together. Yeah, I've got nothing to hide, right? He had something to hide from everybody, and he did a good job of it for a while. So the fact that Jonas and Hayden are coming out and doing a podcast, it does scream like Jonas's conscience, from the most part, does scream like, I have nothing to hide. I did the best I could. I didn't know about these things until they came out, and even then it maybe didn't seem certain to him. Same thing with Hayden, but that's where I would be like, okay, with any Safemoon person, that we went over that, Coffee went over that, I went over that. And it wasn't like I'm saying, it wasn't like oh, maybe that could be something, maybe not. It was like 90-something% obvious that John had to have taken from the LP. And so I think to come away with a different assessment than that after all the evidence came out would be where you could find condemnation. And it's not even a lot of condemnation. It's not complicit. They weren't with John and said, yeah, let's take the LP and lie to everybody about it. They didn't defend John knowing that he took the LP. They didn't find out that he took the LP and then lie about it or suppress it, as far as what I can tell. So I think it's definitely extremely immoral and illogical to accuse them of having inside information that they were withholding from everybody, or to say that they were complicit. The most judgment that I think you could have against Hayden and Jonas, if you're trying to, and most people in this space are so guilty of it that they have no room to throw any judgment, is to say that you guys, why did you guys reject the blatantly obvious information that CoffeeZilla came out with, that many of us researched for ourselves and were putting on blast for everybody to see? And with that, not only with that, but also continuing to support Safemoon after that, even though it's not like in your mind you're supporting John's theft or fraud. There'd be the question of, is the money that he got being used to pay us or to fund other things, the products, which was literally the investors' money? That'd have to be something that I would think come across your mind. And if I continue to talk positively about Safemoon at all, that's the position I had to take, is like, look, you guys, these maxis and these Twitter spaces, you want me to talk positive about Safemoon? I'm not. And I don't think that's you have to be positive and negative and that's fair and balanced. No, if you murder someone in my family and I think it's you and I have good evidence that it's you, I'm not going to say, oh, if it's really balanced, then I'm going to, treat you like you're a nice guy. No, until you satisfy that you haven't committed that crime that seems to be heavily indicated, I'm not going to talk positively about Safemoon. So there's this moral responsibility after that information came out to not talk positively about Safemoon. And I think everybody had that responsibility, not just Jonas and Hayden and anybody who worked at Safemoon, but every Safemoon holder who was supporting Safemoon, which is a lot of them. After that information came out, Safemoon Knight, the Batman guy, Randolph, what's her name, Holly, Jeremiah, Safemoon Addict, what's that guy that had the big, Safemoon After Dark, Chris Hare. A lot of these people really fought tooth and nail at the most crucial point against the evidence. And that's where I'm like, there's accountability for everybody. Most of these maxis that are trying to accuse them are just as guilty of like pumping Safemoon. Like Jonas and Hayden keep saying, they didn't have any information that we didn't have, except for like maybe the story about John in the truck. And that's not going to like be like, oh wait, John took the truck, therefore he also took the LP. You're not going to come to that conclusion, right? That'd be stupid. So people that are throwing stones, it's so interesting to watch people, the maxis, go from being illogical and immoral in their judgments against the fudders to doing it to also not after the information comes out. They're still unable to judge rightly. They still are condemning people for things that they themselves were doing the whole time. Many of those people that are sitting here, Rocky, oh my gosh, Rocky, I can't believe he's saying anything. This guy was pumping Safemoon and denying everything, openly slandering and attacking me and other people for putting this information out there respectfully. And of course, for some reason, these people are also going to be the people throwing the most judgments, throwing the most stones at the end. And I hope that they can satisfy that, because it'll make it easier to listen to what they have to say. I think it's because you guys are the closest to John Caroni, like right underneath him, that it's like, well, yeah, we're going to associate you with him. It's like being the bottom two people underneath a cult leader who was doing terrible things. People are obviously going to associate you with that. And it sucks, the timelines, how they did happen, because all the bad things really did happen before you guys were ever a part of it. But because you were so closely tied to John, people are naturally going to associate you with Safemoon and with John and with a fraud and with a scammer. You're naturally going to get that label, a scammer. I get it just for talking about Safemoon negatively. I get that all the time. If I talk about any crypto, I get the label of scammer. So obviously you guys are going to get that. And I think that the best way to satisfy that is to really get to the meat of the evidence that you had, and how much did you positively talk about it, and how much did you negatively talk about it, what was going on in your mind, when did you decide to quit, why did you decide to quit, what emotional incentives did you have. I definitely agree with everything with them coming out, but I think that when it comes to satisfying that, the heart of it is going to be the blockchain evidence that you had and how long you had it. Because like I said, I couldn't talk positively about SafeMoon. I'm like, I can't. Are you going to make a positive math video about the blockchain? I'm not going to do that. John has to satisfy that he didn't steal that money, because if he doesn't, I will never talk positively about SafeMoon again, other than the aspect that maybe something good will have happened even with the price, even though something bad has happened, because something can be a scam and the price can still go up. And I think that that's how we should be approaching this, is what causes the price to move. Not what do we want, what do we not want, but what causes the price to go up, what causes it to go down, and what ideas or events are going to cause that. And it could be a scam, but you still might be able to make profit off of it if the right sequence of events happens, right? And I agree with what Hayden's saying. Safemoon had so much potential, and especially most people that are condemning them right now 100% would have taken a job with Safemoon the time that they took it. I completely agree with that. And it did have massive potential. It just, all they had to do was not take from the LP and maybe some other things. If John wasn't incompetent, Safemoon probably could have been something amazing. I really do believe that. It sucks what happened. It sucks that he took from the LP. You know what all it came down to? Kyle just had to put in 2% marketing. 2% team fund into the tax. 2% of all the volume naturally, legally would have fed the. It still would have been a security, but that's a completely different issue other than fraud, right? They still would have had to deal with the SEC at that point, but at least it wouldn't have been fraud, and we could have continued to morally support it. That's why I'm like, I can't morally support this. It'd be dishonest of me to talk positively about Safemoon while CoffeeZilla has put out this video with millions of views that leans 90+% obviously that John took the LP money and spent it on himself and mansions and $5 million into his mom's investment, and suddenly is rich and wearing clothing and watches and all this stuff before Safemoon's ever profitable. So hearing their response to that, and the response might be, you're right, and I ignored some obvious evidence that I looking back, I was just wrong. And maybe it was my financial incentive, or maybe it was just my hope that Safemoon would succeed. But I definitely just suppressed the truth or suppressed the evidence because maybe I hoped it wouldn't be real, or maybe I felt like if it was real, they would have arrested him. So maybe it didn't, who knows? But I think that, for me personally, there's no area outside of that where there's any place to really judge them. You could maybe ask some questions about, hey, like I said with Hayden and the swap partners, did it not appear to be that the Safemoon Army community was getting wrecked financially by a lot of these swap partners? And why would you see that as a good thing for the Safemoon ecosystem unless you saw it as funding for the runway for the future of Safemoon, which would eventually lead to the products, the exchange being released, which would eventually profit the Safemoon holders. Those are the only two, outside of that, what they knew during the time that they stayed there. Outside of that, I don't see any room for condemning them in any way of being associated with any fraudulent activity. I think they did do their best and actually had good intentions and were working hard and did see things going on and tried to do it right, like Hayden was saying, as far as like if we tried to come up with something so that there wouldn't be insider trading with the swap listing partners, even though he said there ended up being that. And I think there was among the Twitter influencers, a lot of the people on Twitter who are doing the most condemning are the most guilty. And I think that's something you naturally do. When you do evil, you are more prone to pointing out that evil in other people, even if it's not there, which is just bizarre in my mind. But a lot of these people that are calling the fudders scammers and paid and all that stuff, they're the ones profiting off of lying to the Safemoon Army and getting them into swap partners and being able to get in before them. And we found out a lot of that information. There's only 9 minutes left, so we'll go ahead and finish that.
While they're like, all
Leave
right, time
the
to find my
country.
new job.
Yeah, which
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
It speaks volumes how a lot of people we worked with are dead silent.
so silent. Like
yeah.
some people that didn't even want to be put out in front of the community.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even during the time that Safemoon was active and alive, they didn't want to be in front of anyone. They didn't want people to know their name, face. Like there was even arguments of, hey, we're building this new website. We need to have our leadership team on there.
Mm-hmm.
And some people said no.
Which makes me wonder, because there's a few of them in particular. I think you know who I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
I know.
What did they know that we didn't? If they
Right.
were so scared.
Because they were always doing like backdoor meetings with John
Yeah.
and like.
Maybe they knew that he was taking LP money the whole time.
Oh, Josh Chilcutt is who I was trying to think of earlier. I don't know if that's who they're talking about right now. Josh might have, but I don't know if that's who they're talking about. The only people that I think out of everything, all the research I did, I actually don't even think Thomas knew. I could be wrong. I think the only person who might have known was Jack Haynes, what John actually did back in the day.
I don't
Maybe.
know. But
Well, we even found that person's wallet.
oh yeah,
Remember?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we say insider trading, we were more or less specifically talking about one person, but we found another person's
one.
wallet and we mentioned it.
Yeah, I'm going to share the story real quick. We should dive into it later, but this person, so he was an executive at Safemoon.
Yeah.
One of the undoxed, unnamed people.
We don't need to say his position, so we don't.
Yeah. And there was an issue with the swap.
Yeah.
And we had one of the Slack chats it was like a technical or something. He sends a screenshot. This is one of my prouder like reflex moments.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to get to Felix later. Felix says I'm not an athlete. Wait till you hear this. He sends a screenshot of like a transaction failing. And it was like a screenshot of his wallet.
Yeah.
And I could see in like the top, the balance of a different coin in his wallet.
Yeah.
So I go Shift Alt for whatever the hotkey is for screenshot. I screenshot it. I kid you not, 3 seconds later, it's deleted because I'm sure he realized.
Oh, he did.
Shoot.
Yeah, it was so quick.
And
yeah.
so I'm like, yes, I got this
him.
guy. And so it didn't take me very long to do a search. I find
BSC
which wallet
scans,
has this amount of this token. And so, but here's the thing. We don't know it was his. Maybe someone sent him the screenshot.
Sure.
It's one of those, we don't have proof, but it's probably his.
Well, the fact that he deleted it so quickly gives you the inclination that it was his.
It's either, it's probably his or a close friend.
Yeah.
If it were just a community member, I don't think he would have deleted it.
No,
right
no,
away.
I don't.
So that was another, it's a little.
And when we dove
that's
in,
worrisome.
we found tokens that were on our swap that were before the launch. And that's when we were like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to hide that, right? And I went to John and a couple other people and was like, well, specifically the person I went to was the person that got fired for it. And so I'm sure he didn't do anything about it because he knew.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Felix, our boy.
We've saved the best for last.
Flix 57289625335. So we can already tell right now that he is a troller. He said,
Good
we got
guy.
a fake athlete and me and a fatso and Jonas.
Yeah, why are you calling Hayden a fake athlete?
Yeah, what the hell? Talking, my goodness, if you looked up losers in the dictionary, you'd see a pic of these two jabronis. And the fact that he used the word jabronis makes me so happy. Like, that's a good use of the word, Felix. So, Felix, hey, I don't even think we need to cover anything you said because, yes, I'm a fake athlete and Jonas is a fatso. But he has been going off on Jonas for the last
This guy does not like
5 months. He hates Jonas.
And he
failed athlete.
Every single tweet mentions how I'm a failed athlete.
Failed athlete because Jonas could not go through American Ninja Warrior and win.
Hey, just wait till this next season comes out.
Plug.
Okay, it airs. I don't even know when it airs, but I do a lot better than in previous seasons.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember him coming back that first time from American Ninja Warrior the first time, and it was just so funny to be like, you suck.
Which is funny, too, because when it first came out,
Yeah.
remember we said, hey, we have a Safemoon employee who's going on American Ninja Warrior. People freaked out. They're like, oh, that's the coolest thing. Like, get a Safemoon tattoo. And then, I did all right. And they're like, way to represent Safemoon.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I leave, now it's like, you did terrible on the
You
show.
suck.
You're not a good athlete.
All you are is a, what is it? Super Smash Bros. Second place winner.
You don't think I've heard it? Like, my wife has a silver medal from the Olympics. Like,
Right.
nothing that I can do is ever going to, so
No.
I understand I'm
No.
not like a professional athlete or even have any accomplishments. So it's,
No, you're an athlete. Like, let's not get it twisted, but at the same time, thanks, Felix, for your for your continuing support of failed athletes and fatsos. So, sorry. But yeah, those are some of the questions that came in from Twitter. Not even questions, straight up statements and implications.
Concerns.
And concerns.
So light way of putting it.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this is a main reason, and this is what I was talking about with one of the people that commented last night on our post. It's just like Jonas is a lot more bold in going out there and just saying whatever the hell he wants to say. Me, I'm more of a reservist. I sit back. I will definitely send tweets and comments to Jonas and other people and be like, look at this jabroni, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, this is a big reason why, like, I tried to stay out and stay out of that limelight because as much as the Safemoon community can uplift and bring joy and bring happiness to a bunch of individuals and just bring friendship and camaraderie, they also can just tear you to pieces.
Oh, yeah.
For the slightest thing, for dipping your foot in the water at Ninja Warrior, and they tear you apart and say you're the worst athlete. And in reality, if you put yourself next to Felix, I bet you could just absolutely dominate him in anything. Basketball, baseball, football, right? Soccer. But it's so crazy to really see the two sides of the coin and how people really use that platform, right? It can be for uplifting or just destroying toxicity. But for some reason, I still love the community. Still love talking to these people. I saw Addict on there trying to defend us, which is great. Like, thank you, Addict. We really appreciate that, and having met you in person, know your character and you know ours. So
Dude,
I'm sure that's a big
don't
reason why.
support Addict right now, bro.
Steph,
Don't
your
do
name's
that.
Steph, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steph as well. And just those people that were able to actually meet us in person and really have that conversation and see that we were just as much of an aficionado in Safemoon and trying to build it up as they were in the community sense. So I think that's kind of where I'm sitting now. It's just like there will always be some type of issue, hate. But at the end of the day, we're telling these stories in the timeline that we experienced. No one else did. No, there other employees experienced it, maybe not to the extent, but everyone that's talking on Twitter, whether it's Sam from Evergrow, whether it's Randolph, Shildoff, Rocky, all these people, right? They didn't experience what we had to, right? And we're being completely honest and upfront. And if we were complicit, this would not be a podcast.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
I feel like that should be obvious. But
that should be completely obvious. If we were complicit and we were like, oh, 100%, like, you should see how much LP I got. Yeah, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would we put ourselves on camera in this amazing studio to talk about us being
and this
criminals?
This is a whole other story, but we got gypped by Safemoon. Like, their wages owed to us that were never paid or withheld.
Yes.
So we got screwed.
You lost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah. From money that was owed to me.
And same with me. Like, hey, that credit card that I was spending $700 a pop on when people came to see, like, there's interest on that. Did Safemoon ever pay that interest? No.
Yeah. So I hope people see that we just want to tell the truth. We want to tell these stories. I think people deserve to know. I think they're interesting. I think a lot of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
And if it offends you, you don't have to listen, but
you don't have to listen. But just keep an open mind.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you're gonna get a lot of hate. You're gonna get hate from maxis and fudders and whatnot. There's no option where you don't get hate or slander in the crypto space. There's no way to exist in the crypto space without that. You're gonna be called a scammer. It's gonna happen whether you're scamming people or not. Yeah, I just heard another clip that they just put out, and it was basically Jonas saying that before CoffeeZilla's stuff come out, it's actually kind of interesting. And there is little good tidbits here and there, but I think they did have to start it off by getting all the boring stuff out of the way, that they didn't know anything and all that jazz. But Jonas was saying that John sent out an email to everybody saying, hey, the hit piece is coming out on us from this, big YouTuber, and don't watch the video, don't give him the views. It's all not true. So John told... That's pretty good information. John told Jonas just said this in a video. Everybody at his company that CoffeeZilla's video was not true. He would not publicly say that on Twitter, but he was willing to tell his employees to not watch the video, which is insane. And maybe that plays a role in, like, they just didn't watch it for a while. Maybe they just trusted John to that point of just like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this dumb video and all that. So I guess hopefully, I guess that's the next one that they're doing. I don't know if I'll continue to watch these live. Like, maybe I'll do it while I'm working or something. So if you guys want to, just type in "safely to the moon." It's commented on the live. It's the pinned comment, so you can just click on that and it'll take you right to their channel, and you can subscribe and watch it without me stopping and interrupting and giving my thoughts. And I don't know if I'll do this for the next one, so you probably should do that. And after it posts to my channel, I'll go post a comment with their YouTube. And then I like what they're doing. I don't think that they're frauds. I don't think that they're scammers. I think they had good intentions. I think they were working to grow Safemoon just like many of us in the community were. And like I've said multiple times, I think that a lot of the questions you might have for them really just comes down to like what you knew and what you did with that when you knew it. And for Hayden, what do you think of the implication of the swap partners on the Safemoon community as far as like losing money and getting wrecked on everything and the insider trading that was going on and all that stuff? Otherwise, I don't think there's a lot here other than a couple tidbits of good information here and there, which is what we knew it was going to be, which is what they said it was going to be. They're not coming out with like huge damning evidence that they saw him like writing a note saying like, I took it, but no one can do anything about it. That is pretty good information though, with him saying that he does a lot of crypto scams. CoffeeZilla. Yeah, that's the audio for that. That John told everybody that it wasn't true and don't watch the video. That's actually pretty funny. Like, oh yeah, don't even watch it. It's like, what? Don't watch it. That just makes me want to watch it even more. Hey, what's up, Jesus Kubara? What the F is this? Still on Safemoon. Let's get over this already. It's basically done, man. If there's something interesting enough, then I'll cover it. I was debating covering this for a while, but I thought, if I'm going to watch this, I might as well do it with you guys. once in a lifetime situation for that type of coin. Safemoon name has been ruined. They would need to recreate the brand. Safemoon ran hard because of the timing of meme coin season and people having stimulus checks. Hello. No, I'm trying to decide how I want to move forward in crypto, and it's definitely going to be like covering new cryptos, probably like either covering scams or covering new cryptos. Like, hey, what do you guys want me to look at? You want me to look at that on live stream? Okay, I'll go look at that on live stream, and I'll just give you my honest opinion on whether or not I think the vision sucks, or I think it's scammy, or whatever. And I could just look at new cryptos, and then if people want to watch that, they can. But I'm not sure. I got to figure out how I want to spend my time. I still hold it back. Where can I sell? I don't think you can sell, man. I think they shut down the trading. Swapped my 2 million Safemoon for EGC a while back. No regrets there. Nice, man. What's up, pimped out platypus? The only coverage I'll probably do of Safemoon from here on is I might cover some of the information that they're putting out. If any big information comes out from people on the inside, I don't know if it can get bigger than Jonas and Hayden unless Ben Phillips or Jack Haynes or Kyle Nagy or Thomas or any of those people start speaking out about what was actually going on in the beginning, when that probably will happen eventually. Some of them might speak, Thomas or whatever. Especially since Thomas, I think, is just pleading guilty or something like that. But more so, I'll probably just cover the any juicy bits that come out of the Safely to the Moon, and then I imagine John being convicted. I'll probably cover that as well. And if anything like worthy comes out of John admitting that he was guilty, of John admitting how he did it, anything that's worth covering, then I might do it. But I agree, Jesus. I'm trying to find trying to figure out what I want to do with my YouTube channels. I have like 10 channels, and I'm trying to figure out what's like the best way to spend my time on which channels, what do I enjoy most, what makes the most money, what's the morally the best thing to do. So I'm torn between like, religion channels or crypto, but I think I do need to do the crypto one, and I can just do it in an honest way. And so I'll probably be starting. I'm going to try to just look at new projects and try to develop my skill of looking at them, rating them, what I think, giving an honest opinion. I kind of do that anyways, because I had over the past 3 years, I've had a lot of crypto projects reach out to me. Oh, look at this project. And like 90% of them, if not more, I'd look at it and be like, that's dumb. I don't like that. But good luck on your project. I'm not trying to shoot down your project, but in my opinion, I don't think that's a good project. I don't like what they have set up, whether it be they're giving themselves too much of the amount, or they're not showing how much of the LP that is being distributed, or if it's just like their vision's too big and they're not doxed. There's a lot where they are doxed, but I don't know. Just most projects, unfortunately, are bad. But at the same time, you want to try to figure out where are the good projects, what is worth investing in, who is working on something that might be beneficial in the future. How do you get in on the airdrops and pay attention to the right stuff to get in. And so that's probably where this channel will go. Soul Chain has been active like crazy. Look at Jupe. It's dropping on the 31st also for Solana. Are you on Twitter, Jesus? I just posted a post, but if you, it just basically says, what projects do you want me to look at? I'll do it live on stream. And so I will do that. But I'll try to remember that one. Jupe, Jup. Also for Solana. Huh, okay. So it's a swap. Cool, man. Yeah. Might try that out for a while, but yeah. Otherwise, I tend to back, I think Jonas and Hayden, from a human standpoint, are decent guys, meant well. We're not trying to screw people over. That's why they're confident enough to come out in the open like this. Not saying that they probably didn't make mistakes, but I appreciate them doing this, and I look forward to getting the full story from them. I did see Squid Grow pump. It pumped a little bit, not insane, but it did. They move in a lot. Nice. Yeah, Squid Grow jumped up a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I just I'm trying to pay for a wedding or for the honeymoon, and it's like thousands of dollars. And I'm not doing hot on money right now, so I don't really have a lot to invest, is what I'm trying to say. It's all going towards trying to pay for the wedding and the honeymoon and the bills and everything. So I don't have like extra money to just throw at crypto projects. Wen dropped like 3 days ago and got airdropped a bag for using the Jupiter swap. That's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I need to be getting into, is what you're talking about. If you're on Twitter, just follow me. I'm Crypto Control 3. You're not on Twitter, okay? Move out of nowhere, yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen with Squid Grow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. No, dude, a wedding's great. It's like 10, 20, 30 grand. The honeymoon's insane how much money it is. But you only get married once, or you should only get married once. So hopefully, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's in May. We're getting married in May. So I've got like months to pay off all this stuff and come up with enough money. And I'm not making money on YouTube or crypto like I have been. So just trying to figure out the best way forward. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody, and watching this. And like I said, go subscribe to Safely to the Moon on YouTube, and you can go watch all their podcasts. They actually have a second one out you can already watch, and I think a third one's coming out. So if you're trying to hear more information, just head on over there and watch it from them. I'm not sure if I'll live stream the next ones. So if you want to hear that, I would definitely just go sub to them and watch it without me there stopping it. Hey, thanks, Dave Roberts. Appreciate that. Dave Roberts. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Nice, man. Hope the venue's nice. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's got a really good view on a lake. And we're probably going to go to Vegas and try to go to the Sphere and go see some magic shows. And she's never been to Vegas before. Like, I don't like smoking, drinking, or gambling. So we're not going there for that. But there's a lot of cool stuff to see and do there outside of that. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll get married and probably start trying to have a kid pretty quickly. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will see you next time. I might start doing daily live streams where I just look at projects in a live stream. You guys tell me what you want to look at, and then I just look at it, and I'll give my honest opinion on what I think, you know. And maybe you guys help me get in on good projects, you know what I mean? It may not be me telling you. It might be you guys helping me and other people through my channel. I got a lot to learn. Yeah, the Sphere looks real crazy. So I might try that tomorrow. If you guys want to tune into a live stream tomorrow, I will try to look live at some crypto projects, see how that goes, see how people react to it, and see how that goes. So I will see you guys in the next live stream or video. You guys have a good day.